8 then. Everybody has to have their devices silenced. Everybody should be listening. You cannot listen in on speakerphone. You have to just listen in with your ear. If you need the phone number and the conference ID, I have it on this sheet of paper here. When it prompts, when it asks you, if you are the meeting, what does it ask you? It asks you if you are hosting the meeting, to hit star. Do not hit star. You are not hosting the meeting. Thank you. Okay, great. So we are coming to you live from PS 94. This is our joint meeting with the President's Council. It is also our December calendar and business meeting. I am the president, Antonia Ferraro Martinelli. And I'm going to hand the floor over to our interpreters to introduce themselves before we get started. Can we first go to our Mandarin interpreters? Mandarin.
欢迎家长来到这边参加这个会议。如果你需要国语的翻译的话，请打电话去347-966-4114，密码是657-974-794，然后按井号。然后再来一次，如果你需要国语的翻译的话，你可以打电话去347-966-4114，密码是657-974-794，然后按井号。然后在你按进去之后，请按静音，谢谢。Mandarin announcement is finished. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Spanish, please.
Buenas tardes. Para escuchar esta interpretación en español, llame al número de teléfono 347-966-4114 y entre el número de conferencia 808-608-746, símbolo numeral. Nuevamente, ese número de teléfono es 347-966-4114 y va a entrar el código de conferencia 808-608-746, símbolo numeral. Por favor, asegúrese al entrar a la línea de español silenciar su micrófono de sus dispositivos para no interrumpir la interpretación. Gracias. Spanish announcement complete.
And Bangla?
শুভ সন্ধ্যা সবাইকে। আপনারা যদি অনুষ্ঠান বাংলায় শুনতে চান আপনারা ডায়াল করতে পারেন 347-966-4114। তারপর আপনারা একটা আইডি নাম্বার দিবেন, ওটা হলো 192-842-263#। নাম্বারটা আবার হলো 347-966-4114 আর আইডি নাম্বারটা হলো 192-842-263#. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And since we have such a lovely audience here in person, I hope you all were able to sign the attendance sheets outside and indicate whether you wanted to participate in public comment. The sign-up sheets are out front. I'm going to turn it over to Leslie to call the roll.
Antonia Ferreira.
Yes, present.
Leslie King, present. Vanessa Rico, excused absence. Nancy Cruz, excused absence. Katina Rogers.
Present.
Jonathan Davis.
Present.
Hans Ariata.
I don't know yet. I haven't checked my email whether he sent me anything. I'm just going to put absent.
Donalda Chumney is online.
Yes.
Nancy Randall. Her.
She's
and-
excused.
Okay, excused absence. And Donald Danley Vidal, excused absence.
And we have, our President's Council President has just entered the building. This is Elton Dodson. Elton, why don't you come sit up here with us since this is a joint President's Council meeting.
I can scoot over this way.
You can sit over here, sit right by Katina, that works. And Kwame Egerton might be arriving late. He did text me. So we do not have quorum at this moment. So we cannot hold a vote to make this a hybrid meeting. And I'm gonna put a reminder in the chat for anybody who is attending remotely to please sign the attendance sheet there as well. And I'll turn it back over to Vice President Leslie King to read the introduction.
Thank you so much for coming to the District 15 Community Council, Education Council tonight. We appreciate your time and are glad that you could join us. For those of you who are new to CEC meetings, there are 32 CECs throughout the city plus 4 citywide councils. Each CEC represents a community school district, and each is made up of 12 volunteer members, 10 of whom are elected by parents in the district, and the remaining members are appointed by the Brooklyn Borough President and 2 high school student members. CEC 15 is a state mandated public body responsible for ensuring that public school parents and the public have input in education decisions that are made at the school district level. Our council reviews education policies and advocates for high quality education that benefit all of our District 15 public elementary and middle school students. CEC 15 serves 36 elementary and middle schools and 1 high school under the oversight of our superintendent. CEC members serve in an advisory role on education matters to the district superintendent, the chancellor of the Department of Education, and to state and city elected officials. We approve district school zoning lines submitted by the Department of Education. We evaluate our district superintendent. We review the district's educational programs, and we support school leadership teams. We also submit recommendations for the School Construction Authority annual capital plan. And as of recent amendments to the law, CECs advise in the selection of parent coordinators. We actively seek input and feedback from the public and encourage you to visit our website, cecd15.org, and write to us about any issues you may want to address or learn about. Each school has a CEC liaison, and all of our names and contact info are available on our website. And if you haven't done so, please remember to sign our attendance sheet.
So tonight's public comment protocol. Tonight's meeting is in person and will include a public comment period. We will take both remote and in-person comments to gather additional feedback from our families and school community members. You may leave your camera on, or for your own privacy, if you prefer. You may use audio only during the comment period and throughout the meeting. Rules of engagement. When you comment, please comment on the topic. Respect the privacy of others, and please do not include names of children or staff. Guests who make inappropriate comments will be removed from the meeting. During the public comment period, those attending virtually may raise their hand to comment or indicate in the chat that they would like to speak. Those called upon will be unmuted. If you are attending in person, you must sign the guest attendance sheet and indicate whether you would like to comment. Speakers will be called on one at a time and will be allowed 1 minute each for comment. We will hear as many speakers as the time allows. It is possible that not every comment and/or question will be given time, so the best way to get your question answered is always to write to the CEC at cec15@schools.nyc.gov. CEC members will also be given a comment period. Members will be called upon and are each permitted 1 2-minute comment and/or question. If members do not have a comment, they may cede their time to the chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. So welcome, everybody. We are here at lovely PS 94. And I know that your school has so much to offer. And so before we get started with updates, I want to give your lovely principal an opportunity to share something. So Christina, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Cristina Gonzalez. I'm the principal of this school.
Why don't you come up here because the microphone needs to pick you up. Stand right here,
I'll stand there.
because we've got two mics.
Okay. So we are an elementary school. We offer dual language programs in Chinese and Spanish. We also are very big on providing services to the community. So this is a school that also has a food pantry where no one is turned away. We provide food for anyone that expresses a need. We also have a recycling boutique and free laundry services for our families. We have about 12 after-school programs right now. Two CBOs, we have ophthalmology services, dental services, a full clinic, mental health services within the school and with our CBOs. And we also now offer Saturday Academy. That's it. Thank you so much and enjoy your time.
Thank you. And speaking of food, there is a lot of food on the table, and that is all for all of you. There is a lovely panettone, which is a Christmas specialty from Italy, if you guys are into that. I would also like to introduce our FACE liaison, Anthony Aguilar, who is here. He wants to share some updates that I think the President's Council will find important. You would mind coming up here so that the mic can pick you up?
So I'm just gonna make a quick plug for CPAC. So the CPAC meeting is Thursday at 9:30. Basically what the CPAC is president of all the president's councils within the city. At this meeting, the chancellor answers specific questions that are given ahead of time. They also have trainings or hot topic based on areas that are coming up. So for instance, in January, all PA PTAs must submit their interim financial report. In that meeting, we will go over that report so that all the PA PTAs can, I guess, review or see the document and learn how to fill it out for all the PA PTAs. You can join that meeting by going on YouTube and just put NYC DOE CPAC and they live stream that meeting. For all presidents, council presidents, they should have received a live Zoom link that they can actually join the meeting, gather the information and bring that information back to their PTAs within the district. And that's just the way that we can ensure that all PTAs are getting the same information within the district, within the city.
Do you want to say anything about CEC election?
Sure. Also, CEC election, is coming up. The application to apply will, come out somewhere in the end of January. So if you are interested, look out for that. There also is a working group that is happening at the same time. For the working group, submissions have closed to enter. However, whoever already, applied, they will start meeting monthly, once a month, to discuss how the prior, elections were, executed, and then make or critique this election season to what happened last year, just to make sure that we are trying our best to solve any problems that occurred last year and make this election season better than it was last year.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And one representative from Alexa Aviles' office, Rob, you want to come up here and make some announcements? And I want to ask the interpreters, are you hearing us in the Zoom very well today?
We don't hear all the speakers too well personally.
Okay.
Microphone's off, it's right over there.
There's one here and then there's one there.
Oh, yeah. So I'll try to kind of speak loudly so that you
Yeah.
can hear me at home. My name is Rob Aguilar, District Director with the Office of Councilmember Alexa Aviles. We have a few quick updates that we want to share with you. Last week, the City Council voted in favor and approved a project called City of Yes. I don't know if you all might have heard about that, but it's an important project because we have essentially a housing crisis in this city, where we have folks who simply cannot afford to stay in their apartments. So why this program is crucial and why the council member voted in favor of it is because it does a couple of things. It secures $200 million to assist NYCHA in renting out vacancies. They have an enormous amount of vacancies, and folks who have been on a waiting list are on their waiting list for decades. So the city council wants to pressure NYCHA, and they're giving them money now to speed this process up so people can get into homes. It also expands City Fest, which is a program that helps folks who are on the brink of being evicted, homeless, or are living on the street, right? So the current budget for City Fest is about $400 million. This increases it to an additional $187 million. So it also, and this is one of the crucial things that also affects our district, which is our local parks. This program will secure about $2 billion to improve our parks, our playground. And if you live anywhere within District 15, you know that a lot of our playgrounds are really old and are in need of a lot of repairs. So this will help bring these repairs quicker, and it's throwing in $2 billion essentially to help improve that. So I say this because we need the community, we need all of you, that whenever we have these hearings with, if it's, for example, the Parks Department, right, that the community also comes out and attends these meetings. And you can do this virtually. And if you want to know when these meetings take place, you can reach out to our office, or you can go on the City Council website and offer your testimony. Tell us about your needs directly to the City Council so that we are made aware of these things. And lastly, there is a very important immigration committee meeting. The council member is the chair of the immigration committee at the City Council. This meeting is going to take place January 16th at 10 a.m. We ask that if you can make it virtually, if you'd like to offer testimony, reach out to our office so that you can do that. This meeting was kind of almost like an emergency meeting, if you will, because given that we have a new federal administration taken over soon in January, they're calling for mass deportations of our immigrant neighbors. So this meeting, the council member titled Protection of Our Immigrant Communities, right? So we want to assess how we help and assist immigrants who've been here for a long time and newly arrived immigrants. How do we support them against this anti-immigrant sentiment that is coming in with this new administration? And with that, we're also very grateful to CEC 15 for being a long-time advocate for our immigrant community and for always supporting our neighbors in that sense. And lastly, happy holidays to all of you, to our amazing CEC for all the work that they do. If you all don't know, they're volunteers. They don't get paid for any of this. And we're forever grateful for their advocacy and their work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And happy holidays to you and everybody. So tonight is a joint meeting with our President's Council. This is one of the President's Council, co-presidents, Elton Dodson. And we welcome all the PTA presidents that are hopefully here in the audience and at home on the Zoom. And any PTA parents who are on this call. We look forward to hearing from you all later. And we had an epic joint President's Council meeting last Monday. I shared the UFT's training on applying for the recently announced 182 million in class size funding. Many principals are currently working with their SLTs to develop plans to reduce class size without reducing their programmatic offerings. And those applications are due on December 20th. I can share a link to that training in the chat. Did you share that in the chat? Because I just messed it up. We also had a discussion about the potential consequences of the national election on our schools. Parents reflected on the need to build community around the issues that they care deeply about. I shared that the legislative breakfast that we annually host will be on Friday, January 24th, and that perhaps this would be a good place for parents to voice these concerns as they pertain to students in schools, to their elected officials. We also discussed the need for a dedicated Sunset Park Town Hall. And I'm really eager to continue to develop that idea. In fact, I got some inspiration last week when I attended the Chancellor's listening tour in District 19. I thought that format could be a good format for a Sunset Park Town Hall. What it was basically people were sitting at round tables. There was a moderator who asked 3 questions, and somebody was assigned to be the note taker, and then another person was assigned to be the spokesperson who would sort of report out what ideas emerged from these group discussions. And so I think it was a really smart way to focus the conversation in a productive way by having 3 questions. So before I move on to my update, I wanted to give the floor over to President Elton.
Thank you so much, Antonia. It's great to be here tonight. I always enjoy, when we have these joint sessions with our Community Education Council. As Rob pointed out, they're all volunteers. My wife serves on this body. One of us has to watch the kids, so we can't both be here at the same time. So I know firsthand the sheer amount of hours that everyone on the CEC puts into this job. I know Antonia in particular treats this like a full-time job. So the service and the years of service and dedication to this community is absolutely amazing. And if you don't know how deep Antonia's roots go in working for this district, she was one of the main advocates as a parent leader for our entire District 15 diversity plan, which has been so incredibly successful and a model to our city. So it's always an honor to be sitting at the same table as you. So the President's Council is a body that a lot of people don't know about. And unfortunately, it's a body that a lot of PTA leadership is not particularly familiar with. So the President's Council is simple. It's the body that is comprised of all the presidents of all the PAs and PTAs in our district. And we provide support for each other, bounce ideas off of each other, and act as collective advocates for our kids and for our schools. It's a super important body, and we're working very hard this year to expand our reach, expand sort of the tendrils of communication, particularly out into parts of our district that often feel a little left behind. A couple of years ago, I was here at the library in Sunset Park for a meeting with one of our state senators. And I got cornered by a group of PTA leaders at that meeting and said, "Where are you guys? We're in Sunset Park. why do you only care about Park Slope? Now, of course, that's not true that we only care about Park Slope, but it is an important message that we have received loud and clear, which has led to this discussion of making sure that every corner of our district is as important as the next, and that every single one of our children, no matter which school they go to or where in the community they are treated with the same devotion to service from all of our volunteer parent leadership. And that's why we've had this great meeting that Antonia talked about, our first virtual joint meeting with CEC and President's Council. And hopefully we'll be able to work together to create something special with this town hall and Sunset Park as well, just to make sure we're all communicating. And that's really the key to what President's Council is all about. I'm very pleased to say that President's Council, for the first time this year, was a co-host and a co-organizer of the one and only District 15 wide PTA fundraiser, which is the fun run. So the President's Council hosted that with Council Member Shahana Hanif's office. Her office has been doing that for, I think 16 years now. So it was quite an honor to get President's Council involved in that, which is something that we should be doing. So I hope to see more of that, more district-wide organizing together as PTA groups to make sure that we are fundraising, communicating, and building a stronger and bigger community. So I encourage you to talk to all of your leadership in your schools, your SLT members, your PTA members, to make sure that they know that we are here and available as a resource. So at that fun run, we raised over $17,000 for PTAs that need the money the most. I just had a meeting with Shahana's office yesterday. So that money is going to be distributed in the next few weeks based on Title I status and participation in those needs to make sure that those PTAs get the support that they need. So it's really important that we are all working together as leadership in our community. And it's great to see people showing up and coming out to these meetings. And again, a great honor to be here and see everyone tonight. And I also want to welcome our new parent leadership coordinator, Michelle Ortiz, who it's been a month, November 7th, something like that, right into the. So it's really great to have you. You've been so responsive and so incredible in just in short time you've been here. So welcome. Look forward to irritating the heck out of you over the next year.
Thank you. Thank you, Elton. I wanted to actually circle back to Chancellor Ramos's speaking tour, because one of her 3 pillars was sort of supporting parent empowerment. Now, the E in FACE no longer stands for engagement, it stands for empowerment. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves under her administration. I thought I'd share some of the things that came out of that listening session with you. People really spoke about the desire for their school to feel like a large community and to be treated as a large community. They spoke about the need for community schools with wraparound services. They spoke about addressing parent engagement by instead of calling home with the negatives all the time, what if the school called home with positives? And maybe that would be a vehicle for developing engagement with the families if they heard more positive things from their school about their children. So inviting parents into celebrations and positive things. One parent pointed out that New York City has stayed silent on protecting migrant students when other big school districts have made significant statements about how they would protect them. That came up. And the final parent gave a rousing speech. I think that touched everybody there about the plight of special ed parents. She spoke about the urgent need to address transportation issues, the inadequacy of services, the tremendous stress and hardship that parents endure in the fight just to get their child's civil rights, guaranteed education. So it was a very action-packed, meeting, and I'm glad that I was there. So now for some good news, on mid-year adjustments, the chancellor announced that school budgets will be held harmless for mid-year enrollment losses this year. I'm sure that comes as good news and a relief to many of our media schools. And I also have to always announce that CEC 15 has a vacant seat for the parent of a multilingual learner. That is the parent whose child was assessed in first grade and is officially an English language learner. We have a vacancy for that parent on this council. There is also a panel for education policy meeting next Wednesday, December 18th at 6 p.m. in Sunset Park here at Sunset Park High School. And I'll put some links in the chat for everybody about those. And that is the end of my update. And I believe the next thing to do is to turn it over to we're turning it over to general public comment from parent leaders and community leaders, community members. Since this is our joint meeting, we wanted to make sure we gave families adequate opportunity for public comment. And so this is just sort of an open comment period. And I'll hand it over to our parliamentarian to lead that.
Okay. Since we have such a wonderful crowd today, let's start in person. Is there anybody that has a general comment or question or statements they would like to make?
Bullet point number 6, are we gonna be discussing the walkthroughs that have occurred in certain schools and some of the repairs that need to happen?
Yeah, we're gonna get that.
All right.
Any other questions or comments from people here in person? Okay, so let's move to people who are joining us on Zoom. Are there any comments or questions from anybody joining us on Zoom? Are there any comments or question on the Mandarin line?
Hi, no question for the Mandarin.
How about the Bongo line?
No question in Bangla too.
Spanish line?
No questions on the Spanish line.
Okay. Are we moving to CEC at this point, or?
We're moving to school visit reports. And before we CEC members give our reports, I wanted to give an opportunity to the public if they had a specific repair or SDA capital plan project that they wanted to propose to share that.
Great.
So.
So put it back to all of you. Is there anybody in person that would like to share any building or school related issues or repairs that you would like us to know about so we can advocate for you and your school?
Hi, I'm Kat James from Brooklyn High School, the Arts, and I guess our really big repairs that we need is for our gym, which I believe Vanessa is already aware of, but I just wanted to,
Oh, Vanessa's your
she's
liaison?
our liaison.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
she
so-
probably put that in there.
Okay. Great. Anybody else in person? There, Rafael today.
Madam Janet, is this?
Janet.
Well, Leslie is gonna give a report on CS 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, but we're just asking the public for right now.
I mean, CS 24 has several issues. It's on the DO website, DOE website is considered a fully accessible school, but if a child or an adult in a wheelchair cannot utilize the fully accessible bathroom, then it is not truly accessible. We're not respecting a person's dignity, privacy, and autonomy by having to go into the bathroom and help them because there's not the railings or the equipment that is needed for that person to utilize the bathroom. Also, the sidewalk is listed in a specific area, so if a person is stepping off the school bus onto the curb cut on the sidewalk, and they hit that bump on the street, how truly, accessible is the sidewalk to them? The same thing is happening when they're going into the ranch of the school. Even, and Leslie is aware of all the other things that, need repairing. One of the things that I'm concerned about is there's a wall in the playground that is very wet and gooey. To me, it looks like mold. And I think it needs to be examined. There's mold in other areas in the building, but the kids play out there, they touch it. And they touch their face, their mouth.
Thank you. Any other reports from people in person about their schools and needs? Is there anybody joining us on Zoom who has any recommendations for improvements needed at their schools? Yes, Kate?
Hi there. I am also a parent like Kat at the Brooklyn High School of the Arts, and I just wanted to add my voice for the to recommend for the gym at the school to be updated. We have a really great proposal, and would love some advocates for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else joining us on Zoom? Anybody on the Mandarin line?
Nothing on the Mandarin one.
Anybody on the Bangla line?
No question in Bangla line.
Anybody on the Spanish line?
No.
I think that's it for community. Should we move to
Yeah.
CEC?
CEC, reports, school reports. Should we just,
Should we go down the
go
line?
down the
Yeah.
line?
You want me to do it? I think.
Hans? Nothing yet, okay. So I have a few updates. So I'm the liaison with PS 130, which I'll do first. So PS 130, they were, first of all, one of the schools we recommended for bathroom upgrade last year. They were one of the top 5, and so they have been, project has not started, and so they have been in touch trying to make sure that the work gets done because it's a significant issue within the school. In addition to that, they are looking for upgrades to their front doors, which do not open and close properly, which is obviously a major issue in terms of security and other reasons. And they put many work orders in for this, which have not actually been taken care of. They're still waiting on the bathroom upgrades, which I mentioned. There's also a water fountain in their schoolyard that is not functional, and needs new filters according to their custodians. And they also are in need of air conditioning in the cafeteria and gym and auditorium. And I will add all these to the list when I get a chance. So PS 130 is in 2 buildings. This was at the lower school building. And in the upper school building, they share with MS 839. In that building, they have put in requests for Reso A for bleachers, but they wanted to advocate for their bleachers and their gym don't work, and so they wanted functioning bleachers. And then I am also the liaison in the BHS IS 497, where also Star Academy is. So the biggest thing at that school, which Antonia, as a parent member of that school, has been helping with, is beyond building repairs. They would like to have Success Academy removed from the school because their enrollment has decreased over the last 4 years by 35–40%. There are 5 classrooms that aren't used, and there's a need for space by BHS, as well as Digital Tech, I'm sure would appreciate some extra space as well. So they said if we can do anything for them to be able to have Success Academy relocated so that they can access those spaces, that is number one.
Well, I thought they just wanted the 5 classrooms back. I didn't hear that they wanted completely relocated.
That was what I was
That's what you were
told.
told?
That's what I was told. I am relaying the information. I think at minimum, they would like the 5
They wanted the
classrooms.
5 classrooms.
In terms of overall, it was a removal,
Okay.
relocation of
Yeah.
Success Academy, so just advocating.
Shooting for the stars, hit the moon.
Right, yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to do my job here, you know? And then, there were also, I think, Antonia, you added a couple of things here in terms of other needs, for 497.
I think they sent
They
me
sent
an email.
Yeah, which was where I can't even find it right now on the sheet, but, it was technology upgrade and air conditioning in the library. So, yeah, so those are my reports.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Leslie? Okay, I have a couple. I'll start with, I think we can start with, PS 24. So, like you were saying, the bathroom that they have that's supposed to be wheelchair accessible is not. And so there's a young boy and a teacher. The teacher doesn't use the bathroom all day because it's not accessible for her. And the boy who's in a wheelchair is not able to use the restroom by himself because it's not equipped for him to manage by himself. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but he's getting to the age where he is needing privacy, and he still needs to be assisted by teachers or aides. So that is one of the big priorities. And I know that there's other children in the school who will end up being in wheelchairs as well. And so this is an issue that's going to need to be addressed also for the teacher who goes to school and doesn't use the restroom all day. It's pretty big, yeah. Because she would need somebody to help her, and that's not, so she chooses not to use the restroom. There's also some leaks in the 4th floor in the hallways. It's like an ongoing issue, but it's something that's like you can see there's like visible mold and deterioration on the ceiling in several classrooms and in the hallway that needs to be addressed. I don't know if that's the CSA, but it's definitely like an issue.
That's DSI.
Okay.
We'll check.
Okay. Then there is also, there's a lot of projects that have started and stopped. It's not the CSA, but there's like a lot of building materials that are still in their their play areas. And there's like guardrails and things up of like unfinished work. So there was like supposed to be a foyer that was supposed to be built outside on the small playground for the little kids. And so there's been a lot of things taken down and there's structures up to make it safe, but they haven't finished. So there's like tarps sort of hanging off the building and stuff like that. Also, there is, both playgrounds seem to need some serious attention. There's, in the little playground, whenever it rains, water pools and it smells like sewage, so the kids can't go out there and play.
There's supposed to be a new playground being built. We're waiting on the school leader to finalize the actual plans from the Reso A money that was actually given by Councilmember
Okay.
Velez. So we're still waiting for the principal to finalize those particular plans for school construction to start mapping it out so that they can actually create the playground. So that's actually in motion.
Oh,
Through
okay,
Councilmember Velez's office. It's
okay,
just a matter of the principal approving the scope of the actual plan that was designed based on the funding that was provided. What she originally wanted was gonna cost probably $500,000 more.
right,
So she had to scale back, and in her scaling back, there's a new drawing that they're gonna create that they can share with the principal still has to finalize that plan.
okay, I will speak to her. Does that include the other playground? It has like the,
Let me check, I don't know if
Because
it's wonderful, but let me check.
that definitely needs, that needs to be addressed as well because it looks like a bit of a hazard and also it attracts stray animals. Also the wall, I don't think that's a CSA, I don't know what that is, but it's like weepy on the wall.
Yeah.
And there's gooey stuff. Also a part of the playground, all of the metal is rusting and then when it rains, it's like rusting and like leaking around on the playground. And it looks like there's areas where kids can like sit and stuff, and so that seems like something that needs to be addressed as well. And then again, the side, the front sidewalk that, it's becoming an issue for children who need assistance or who are not, who have some sort of like struggles with walking. And then there's also the issues in the sidewalk have also, they've had like teachers fall on these cracks and stuff. So it's big enough that it's like affecting the children who have some sort of like disability, but also the able-bodied.
That's DOT though, I think. They have the principal to
Yeah,
get in
that's
touch.
Department of Transportation.
I feel like she had, I was like, there just needs to be a conversation about how to.
For the
like-
sidewalk is DOT.
Okay.
That's not the property of the actual school, it's the
Yeah.
Department of
We're
Transportation.
gonna visit the school
Oh.
with CSF because we need to compartmentalize the different issues with the different divisions.
Yes.
Otherwise, the offices are going to spin in circles and these things are never gonna get
So
done.
she said that, she said DOT and MTA are supposed to take care of it, but they don't. And then it's becoming an issue because there's all these little
Well, we-
kids and some walk and there's like, you know, there's lots of like,
Yeah.
just,
We'll coordinate
started, like-
with Joe Lazarus, who will deal
Okay.
with the different divisions that have to deal with the different aspects.
Okay.
Whether or not they can address that, is something that DOT has to determine.
okay,
And we can give them our input, but they're gonna make that decision.
okay,
When it comes to the school itself, we'll look into some of the things. There were some things already underway.
okay,
And as I said, it is like waiting on the school leader, for the schoolyard to actually be done, that we're waiting on the school leader for that decision.
okay,
But on some other decisions of things that are being brought up, there was some follow-up that was supposed to already be done. So
Yeah.
I'll check with DSF as well as SCA to see
Okay.
where they are with those individual things, because we meet with them every 2 weeks.
okay, great. And I think that was, those were the big, there's some other like issues in the, like their central AC doesn't work in all the classrooms. And there's some fountains that don't work. Yeah. And then I guess there's some screens in their cafeteria that are just, they don't work. I don't know what those are for.
Can you send us this link?
Yes.
We
Yeah,
have.
and I have pictures and all that. Okay, and then I have, BNS, GS 146. They have their playground is unusable and that they're gonna have to close it because they're having safety issues, I guess, and they've written letters and they're trying, that's what's on their CSA is getting a new playground. Yeah. They have some temporary repairs to protect the metal. But over the years, it's just like structural damage and heavy damage from like weather that it's like unusable by the children. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Okay, and then,
Leslie, is it just a certain section? Because we were just there last week with several schools that were visiting and students were actually doing activities that were actually outside in the playground. I just want to know, is it a certain section of the schoolyard or is it, you know, there might be different sections of the schoolyard. I just want to know if there's any specific section, or I can just reach out to the principal to find that out.
they want a new, safe, inclusive structure that can,
I'll check that out.
I'm not sure exactly what it is. I'm not seeing it in here. And I didn't go by there. It's a conversation that I
Okay,
had.
I'll check with the school leader, because I know we were there, literally all the principals were there last week, so I
Okay.
know we were actually outside in the chicken coop, and students were actually outdoors, throughout the day, because we could hear them as we were in that principal's office.
yeah.
I just wanna know which section, but I'll check.
I think it must be that upstairs section.
Okay,
I do know that it's pretty old and there's some
Yeah.
like, the ground is pretty janky
okay,
and,
I'll check.
okay. And then I have, PS 38. They have gotten, money for an upgrade for their AC in the auditorium, but they would like to have money to also do the gym. The gym that they have at 38 is above the auditorium. And there was, you know, could it just go into the gym? The gym has no windows and no ventilation. And that's where the kids spend a lot of their time, like playtime. And so there's just to have some like ventilation or something in there that like feels pretty important, especially with like what we've just gone through pandemic.
I'll check with BSF, the way that that space is designed, I've been there, you have to, it's just like in the center of the ground.
Yeah.
Buildings, you can exit from both sides, I was just there last week as well. And I believe it already had ventilation, that's by the specs for the DOE, but I'll just check with BSF on that.
Okay, and, they said it's just stagnant. They also said that the thermostats on the walls have been ripped off over the years, and that they'd like to have a thermostat put in so that the temperature can be regulated and, to help with, air quality, I guess, and then one of their big issues is because they're so close to Barclay, they have no crossing guards at all. And so, there had been issues with, like just school safety and mostly cars and traffic. That, on Nevin, that cars were like speeding down that road and there's just like no accountability. I don't know, like, they, like, people have like driven down that road and they've crashed into the protection around the trees, and so those are all out of whack. And also when they do any sort of like fire drills or anything like that, that they have to stop traffic and that there's no police presence and that people have actually gotten out of their car and harassed students and teachers, and that they feel that it's a serious safety issue for the community.
When there's fire drills, that's from the schools, and the schools are responsible for that particular safety, because on any given day, school safety wouldn't necessarily be there, especially if a fire were to happen. It's not necessarily guaranteed that there's gonna be crossing guards at that particular time.
Right.
As it relates to the crossing guard itself, that's something that they can put in a request, and then we can send it to the police department, NYPD. NYPD handles, school safety, because
Yeah.
they're part of the division of NYPD. There's a huge shortage citywide, so what
Yeah.
we're doing is focusing in on neighborhoods that is what's considered more dangerous cross sections. And so, for example, 456, when we were there, we heard they have one crossing guard, they want two. And they have two of the busiest streets, Third Avenue, which is, from my perspective, a huge intersection where all the traffic is diverted to as a result of all these lane changes. And Flatbush Avenue, which is a nightmare
Yeah.
on any given day, even at any time of the day.
Yeah.
So, we can put in those requests and I'll put the request in to see what the response is, but, if it's deemed a more safer, street, it's probably less likely gonna get one, but we can certainly put in the request.
What about even, having, I don't know if we have any control over this, but like even, speed bumps and stuff like that, just to like cut down from,
That's gonna be DOT and we
Yeah.
can certainly put those requests in and we've had conversations with DOT and DOT would love more than nothing to actually do these things.
Yeah.
So it's actually something that we can work on with DOT, putting in a request to DOT
Okay.
to see if they can put those speed bumps. That's something that's definitely can be done.
Okay, I know that they have kind of gone through the change where they talk to the precinct and they're like, there's nobody available. And so, you know, she even said after we were talking about the air conditioning, she's like, this is more important to me than getting AC in the gym.
Yeah.
Because of just the proximity to so much traffic and not having any sort of like, I think parents are starting to volunteer, but just having like a regular oversight of like, you know, the crossing guards are there, they learn the kids, they sort of can keep an eye on things, just having like other eyes on the kids during those busy times when they're all out. And so anyway.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely put that in. I'll definitely reach out to DOT about speed bumps.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Katina?
Sure. Great. So I'm the liaison for PS 94, actually, and Principal Gonzalez and I have not had a chance to meet, but we did correspond by email. It's really appreciative of the time and attention you put into thinking this through with us. So two needs that this school has are, number one, new water fountains with the new boiler filters. They need 10 of them. They're priced out for cost. The other need is a floor scrubber machine. And again, have to price it out. We know what they need. It was super specific. So those are both on the list. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention while we're here?
Yeah, an elevator. I was gonna request the playground, but we were surprised, right after Thanksgiving with, a donor that is about to rebuild our entire playground.
Wow.
Shift approved today.
Oh my God.
Just had the approval.
That's fantastic.
Playground.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was the most randomest thing. He wanted to work with the parks and rebuild Sunset Park. He was denied a lot of red tape. He was driving, found the school, and then he showed up at 6 a.m. and just offered and.
And they did this at PS 55 in the Bronx, Louis Torres' school. Many of you may have heard of him or know about him. They did this space at his school site, so now they're thinking about doing it here. It's essentially creating like a mini soccer field for the kids to be able to play in. Yeah,
Two, and then a playground for the.
2 mini soccer fields with
kids.
playground.
And, if it's successful, then they bring lightning for safety purposes. So that's why I involved.
Okay, that's amazing.
Is it an organization or?
Yeah, it's a private donor funder. Kevin Moran has been working with them. They did it in the Bronx and they wanted one in Sunset Park. As you heard, the red tape with Sunset Park, so they decided, let's do a school, and the donor has a connection to this neighborhood. So they wanted to make sure it was in this neighborhood. And so we decided 94, we thought about 136, but they already have a field. We're just making sure that they maintain their field. Because they haven't been maintaining in the past. We've had them cut the grass and stuff. So we're now keeping Parks Department responsible for maintaining it. They actually own that park area.
That's great.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, what do you need then?
I just used that bathroom down the hall, I guess the adult bathroom.
Let's put it in the.
We need a new adult bathroom. That is not okay.
Noted.
You couldn't close the door on the stall. And the other door doesn't really close either. It's kind of like there's a big gap and it's just, it kind of looks like a barn bathroom. It's not, that's not. No.
On the list.
It's the women's bathroom on the first floor.
Okay.
And talking about handicap accessible,
they did that to us on the third floor, and we don't have an elevator.
Oh,
Common sense.
yeah, okay. Oh, my God. Um. Okay, thank you. So I also represent PS 169 in this neighborhood, and their biggest request, they've had a bunch of work going on over the last few years. They just wanted to get completed as soon as possible. The school has been under scaffolding for a long time. My understanding from the principal is that it's been delayed over the years, that they've got 2 other projects waiting in the wings. But they need this to be done first. They also need their phone system replaced. They've been finding that parents cannot reliably call in. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but that has been a problem there. PS 15 in Red Hook. They have had a ton of construction going on as well. Things are largely on a better path than they have been. They do have a couple of things that I guess have not been slated as part of this project that they do still need. One is to remediate basement flooding. I guess it was damaged during Hurricane Sandy and still hasn't been available for storage. They need to replace or repair their PA and clock systems, which are not working properly. They mentioned wanting an auditorium upgrade. I don't know specifically an upgrade in what capacity. 2 of their adult single stall bathrooms need improvement, and their gym wall divider system. They would like an upgrade of that as well. And my last school is PS 295, which is the school that Elton represents. They share a building with MS 443. Which Nancy Cruz represents, but she's not here today. So a couple of things that are shared between those schools. One is they need air conditioning in the lunchroom and kitchen. Also air conditioning in the auditorium needs maintenance or needs to be upgraded. Some of the needs that they're having, I think, have to do with the fact that they've now got 3K kids in the building. So like they don't have many bathrooms that are near where the 3K classrooms and pre-K classrooms are. So it's been tough to get the kids to and from, especially the little ones. Their hallway floors are cracked and need replacing. This looks like it was something that had been flagged in prior years and hadn't been replaced yet. Also regarding 3K kids being in the building, the radiators need to be made more child safe. So that the little kids are not accidentally touching those. They were asking for some coordination with the Parks Department. I guess the Parks Department is meant to maintain their outside area. There's a fence there that's shared between the school playground and the public playground. Kids rip through that fence all the time, and it ends up with like, jagged edges that kids are now climbing through. So they need some better solutions there for kids' safety. Those are the main things. There's some desired upgrades to exterior space, more plants, more green space, more seating for kids when they're outside, things like benches and chess tables. But I think the air conditioning needs.
Okay, Donalda, would you like to report?
Sure. The first school I can share about is PSMS 676 in Red Hook. There are still challenges with the gym floor. It's a really nice gym floor, this beautiful wood, but when it rains, it's in a low-lying part of the building and it floods. And so it makes PE impossible, and it also does damage to that wood. There are adjacent bathrooms to that gymnasium, and those bathroom upgrades were promised several years ago, but they have still not happened. So our folks at PS 676 PS MS 676 asked us to please put that back on the list for consideration. Council Member Aviles' office, I'm sorry, my Google auto-corrected there. Council Member Aviles' office has allocated funding for 3 projects for the school: the dance room, the newsroom, and the auditorium renovation, including new lighting and sound system. Facilities is supposed to be doing the work for these 3 projects, and the money is there, but the projects haven't begun yet. And so this isn't as much a request for us to add this to our requests, but more to say, if we have a liaison who can follow up, that would be very, very helpful. In addition, and I think potentially the largest consideration is that there is a new building plan for the school in 2027 to be constructed by SCA, but there haven't been any meetings or contact outreach about what's happening with construction. So we're about 2 years away from school opening. I think my screen froze, I'm not sure. We're about 2 years away, 2.5 from school opening, and this would be the time where there would have already been SCA project team meetings. The principal would have been invited. There would have been an architect presenting potential plans. There was a big ceremonial groundbreaking, but to date, the principal is unaware of any other sort of concrete timelines and has not yet been invited into the SCA collaboration for the new building. So that's just something to follow up on. That concludes that school. My second liaison school is the set of District 15 pre-K centers. The first facility at 219 25th Street. This is a really interesting and sort of unique concern. There are no windows in those classrooms, only skylights. And there are 4 classrooms, and shades that cover those skylights don't work, are inoperable in 3 out of the 4. So it means that unless the staff can sort of climb on something and risk a line of duty injury every day to open the shades or close them, which is kind of cumbersome because they don't have a special tool to do that, the shades stay closed. So the kids are either under the fluorescent light all day in the 3 out of the 4 rooms, or the shades stay open, which is a big problem for things like rest time and other, when in different weather conditions, it's frustrating for them. So there is a work order on file. The Deputy Director of Facilities, Mr. Lobianco, is aware. It's a long-standing problem. The principal has been told that the DOE doesn't have a contract with the folks who do these blind repairs. It's been 4 years now, and they're out of warranty. And so even though this isn't a problem that comes up every day, it's a low-lying, it's like a lower priority part that's just sort of a nagging issue for this group of classrooms and schools in this school that needs to be addressed. So hopefully we can rally some resources or energy around getting these shades fixed for this pre-K center. If there's no natural light in a room, it's a pretty kind of depressing context, especially for an early childhood center. The District 15 pre-K center at 173 25th Street. This is the Lady of Czestochowa. There's a door that needs to be rehinged to open differently, so that when kids come in and are washing their hands, they're not kind of being belted by this door that opens out instead of needing to open in. That just requires the hiring of a carpenter, and for whatever reason, that's an ongoing concern. We had talked a bit about crossing guards and traffic control at a previous meeting, and also earlier in this meeting, obviously. The children at these 2 sites cross 4th Avenue every day with parents and with school staff for their playtime. And they had asked if we could please look into the traffic control folks in the same way that we were looking into it for the school that we had the meeting at, that's between Flatbush and like Livingston. And then finally, PS 172, my third school, all their facilities needs are attended to. They have active projects going on right now, but everything is going as expected. The principal's aware of all timelines, and there's nothing new to report on that end. Thank you.
Elton, do you want to add anything? Do you have anything to report on?
Well, my fearless leader just left us, so, principal was here tonight. Of course, this is her old school. So, no, I don't have anything else to add.
I see that Sabrina just entered the meeting, and I know she's a PTA president, of 24.
Right.
We had just spoken about 24, but, at length, but if Sabrina wants to come into the, take herself off mute and say anything, you're welcome to.
Hi, nice to see people. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I can't leave. I have to put my daughter to bed in a minute, but I just wanted to say thanks for the support. Thanks to Leslie King. And I know that Janet Marte is there, and no one can speak better for our school than Janet. So I stand behind whatever she and Leslie had to add. I don't want to come in and blow things up at the last minute. And I know that there's nothing that Janet couldn't articulate way better than I can. So thank you for listening and caring about our school.
Sorry, we're having a technical difficulty right now. One of our laptops is about to die. Can somebody move this over?
Do you want me to scoot over?
Oh, Leslie said she's, you can move here. Leslie's plug in here.
And is it this? That's not it. Right here.
Yeah.
Our whole meeting. If the laptop doesn't get plugged in.
The switch on number. You're trying more?
Is that
Nope.
not power? No.
Yeah, it's probably the charger itself doesn't work anymore. It's not the original wire.
I have one.
Yeah.
Okay, I do, okay.
Functioning. Okay, all right. So can everybody hear me now? All right. So back to PS 107. I did a big tour with Principal Cohen and the custodians and Carmine and other people from DSF. DSF has been really great about going on these tours with us. I know that they've done a lot of them in other districts. So kudos to Carmine for doing all these tours with us. They have a flood elimination project that is in the design phase. It has been over 6 months and no bidding has taken place, or had taken place at least in October when I visited. And so this project is sort of holding up a playground project, which is already funded by Reso A. They have space issues and they lack a gym, and they wanted a new annex built on the empty lot next to them. But in our conversations with SCA, that was not looking like it was going to be possible. And I know from speaking with you, Superintendent Alvarez, that you guys are looking at other potential space options for the school. In terms of repairs, their HVAC system needs maintenance and recharging. The 4th floor central air system only intermittently works. Even though the space is too large for window units, they may have to consider installing electric for window units, because the consensus seems to be that the HVAC system is badly designed and will never work. The school is also requesting a little yard renovation with new. Oh, she's back on. She's back on.
So.
Now you go.
Now, all right, thank you.
We're back on.
Okay, we're back on. All right. The school is, requesting a little yard renovation with new safety mats and the equipment for appropriate, and new equipment with appropriate drainage. And they also requested the repair of 6 gates with a panic bar and the repainting of the entire exterior fence. I also represent District 75, School 721, which is a 50-seat K through 2 school for children with autism. And they also have 1 vocational class for high school students with autism. They were given from Councilmember Aviles a Reso A grant of $350,000 for a kitchen update. And they will be breaking the wall between 2 classrooms to create a larger kitchen space. And they're hoping that in the process, they can install a permanent washer and dryer. Schools with children with special needs often need substantial washer and dryers. And so they're hoping they can put in a permanent washer and dryer when that work gets completed. The SCA is also working on a water infiltration project because they had heavy flooding during that horrible rain incident a year ago. The therapy room, arts room, and the gym, which are in the basement, are still not properly addressed because they are going to be installing retaining tanks in the parking lot. And that project is an SCA project, which is still in the design phase. It's already funded, but they can't fix the spaces in the basement until that work is completed. Their wish list is to have a fully accessible playground with built-in benches. They have funding for a sensory garden, but they need some funding for barriers that go around trees. In terms of PS 958, they also still need a crossing guard. They're also still struggling with that issue. Their wish list is a green roof, and they had asked, because they're a newish building, they had hoped they would be able to put one up there, more easily than an older building. They want accessible play equipment, and a garden greenhouse so that they can have an edible schoolyard. Some of the other, oh, and they also thank Alexa Aviles for the $75,000 resume grant for the sensory gym that they have, that I think, I believe the borough president has gone and visited it, and he's talking up sensory gyms around Brooklyn. So that is all I have to say about my school. I will move on to, I guess we already did public comment on that. We sort of reversed course, and we will turn it over to the superintendent for his report. So maybe you can come up here.
Good evening, everyone. Great. So we can get started. We have the slide, right? And I gave everyone a copy in front of us, so you don't have to look behind you. So I'm just gonna go to the celebrating and honoring in December. Those celebrating Hanukkah, Christmas, or Kwanzaa. And then looking forward into jumping into the new year in 2025. As we think about that, in the month of January, as it comes up, we'll be celebrating MLK Day as well as Chinese New Year, as this year it falls in the last week of January. Normally it's in February, but this year is in January. And we look forward to the celebrations that happen throughout that month and some of the things that we're doing that month. Brooklyn High School of the Arts National Honor Society had a food drive, and Black Students Union had a Thanksgiving celebration at BHA. So we want to highlight some of the work that they've been doing there. In our next slide, we saw some of the PS 230's Thankful For celebration that they had across many of their schools, which was a great experience. A lot of the students, particularly at PS 230, were part of the Thanksgiving parade for a group of students. And then the next slide, you have MS 51, who gets a lesson in Manja from the Japanese Society, as well as celebrating Thanksgiving at their particular school. And so different things that are going on across our schools. And then the next slide, really, as I continue to tell you, we're going to continue to give you some highlights around the district curriculum rollout, as I know that it's been a huge concern for parents across the city, showing how we are doing this work. Now, we're unique in that we're the only district that has two curricula. We have HMH for our schools that have our dual language programs. We have our Wit and Wisdom curricula for our schools that do not have dual language programs. In our middle schools, we've been pushing the IM math work, and I have been committing to share every month some videos of some of the work that we're seeing in schools. And so last month, you got to see the videos from the month of October, where we talked about student voice, choice, and agency. This past month, we talked about small group instruction and what small group instruction looks like in this work. And so the three schools that we visited, and you'll see the videos, for Wit and Wisdom, we saw PS 321. For HMH, we saw PS 169 here in this neighborhood. And for IM, illustrative math, we saw middle school 443. And so if you want to play the video, about a 5-6 minute video, we can watch some of it. Just give you raw video footage of what principals were seeing when they're going into classes, just to give you an idea of what small group instruction looks like across the curriculum. The teacher at 321. Working with 3 students in the lower grades, working on foundational skills in small group, while other students were working on independent practice. And if for whatever reason you're missing the video is on the PowerPoint, so you can actually see it when you get a chance. That's good. It's our computer system here is it's a little wonky. So what we'll do to save time, we'll move forward, but we want you to know that those videos do exist. You can actually view them and actually get an understanding of what's happening. So last month we showed you evidence of voice, choice, and agency within the curricula. This month we were able to show you, or in this video, you'll be able to see small group instruction. Next month, Oh, it's there, it's fine, all right. Well, next month, we'll continue. Next month, we're planning on sharing with you how we incorporate project-based learning. So we went to 3 schools, 676, for IN. We went to, TS 29, for, wit and wisdom. And then we went to, BNS, which is doing some work around project-based learning and integrated into our curricula. And so you're gonna be able to see next month, what that work looks like. And so like, this notion that we're doing things with the textbook in front of students all day long and teachers are verbatim reading every single word on a page, that's not happening with us. We're being very methodical about how we're intentionally using the science of reading in the curricula, but also thinking about where do teachers input and schools input around where students are and how to support them moving forward. So we just wanted to share with our CEC some of that work in our community with what's happening in our school. So you'll be able to see those videos going forward. In the next slide, we have some upcoming events. If I'm correct, CC member Jonathan had talked about possibly not just making the workshop from 10 to 11. So in the next slide, you're going to see special education process review. We still have that 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. But if you take a look in subsequent slides, we'll share with you some added dates that we added for the evening time. We still have our January 21st, 2025 town hall, which is the second of the 4 town halls that we said we were going to do this year in response to the parent survey. And in the parent survey, we wanted to do school safety. And so we're going to be looking at how we're addressing school safety and how District 15 is supporting some more social emotional learning across our schools. We do have our District 15 City Harvest Day, where 5th graders above to 12th grade will participate from every school in City Harvest and ensuring that we're giving back to our own community in District 15. I've seen some of those lines at City Harvest. They actually wrap around the block 2 times around. So what our students are going to be doing is supporting that for the families that could use the food in our community. So we're excited about that. We have our district art showcase, not to be confused by the celebration in terms of our production, our musical. But that's Thursday, February 13th, so that you're aware of that. And we've made some changes. Our elementary will go from 4 to 5:30, and then our middle and high schools will go from 6 to 7. That way we're breaking it up, and it's not too many families all at once in a longer period of time like we did last year. So we learned from our experiences. In the next slide, thanks to our, as you said, Michelle Ortiz, our wonderful new family leadership coordinator, in partnership with Brenda, who's our family support coordinator. They have put together, the DOE has put together some events that they're having around knowing your rights and knowing how to support yourself in terms of families within our community, especially our Sunset Park communities and many of our Parksville communities that are now in STH, who are migrant families in our community, knowing their rights and helping them understand how to navigate the system and how the system is here to support them, at least here in New York City. So we're excited about those particular workshops. In the next slide, you'll see those workshops as I shared earlier. We had the 10 to 11. The next Understanding Your Child's IEP, we're also going to have that on January 15th, Jonathan, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. And then we have another one, Respect for All Policies and Procedures, Parents as Partners, from 10 to 11. And I know that there will be some other evening workshops coming along as Michelle is working with Brenda to solidify dates and times that best work for the community. So hope we're addressing those. We look forward to, in January, actually more in February, sharing some data around our middle of the year data and screeners and seeing how our students are moving and progressing forward. And as we continue to share with DLT the priorities of the DCEP and our movements, we plan to share more of that information here also at the CEC, where you're getting an understanding of where we are with the DCEP goals, which is our District Comprehensive Education Plan, and how we're moving that work in terms of progress monitoring. We didn't share that yet because we're in the process of progress monitoring, but we should be able to share something in January to show where we are going forward. And at that point, we're at Q&A.
Great. Let's start in person. Is there anybody here in person who has any comments or questions for the superintendent? Thorough job. Anybody joining us on Zoom who has a comment or question? Anybody in the Mandarin line?
No question for the Mandarin one.
Anybody in the Bangla line?
There are no questions.
Anybody in the Spanish line?
None on the Spanish line.
Okay. And Donaldo was just asking in the chat if the links are accessible via the report link that was shared. They should be the videos, they should work.
Is the link in the comments?
In the comments? Okay. Awesome, thank you. So let's go to CEC questions or comments. Leslie?
Okay.
I don't have any comments. Actually, I had a question for Rob from earlier. Do you mind if I asked Rob, this related to community? So I had a question about your event on January 16th about supporting immigrants in the community. I was just wondering what safeguards have been put in place, because I know there might be a lot of families worried to show up to an event like that, because then they can be put on a list, and especially with the new administration starting the next week. So I was just wondering what your office is doing to.
Yeah, so it's you know, New York City is supposed to be a sanctuary city.
Right.
Where, you know, the police department is not supposed to share anything with the federal government.
Right.
If folks want to testify, they can do it via Zoom, where, you know, they don't have to share any personal information. If they're not comfortable, if they do not want to, have their camera turned on, they don't have to. But this is a situation where those of us who can speak up for them and can attend these meetings, in support of our immigrant neighbors, I think, you know, we should if we can. And, so we're relying on those that can express their voices without fear to step up and help, our neighbors. So, but if folks, want to share firsthand stories, they're welcome to do that. They can reach out to our office and we'll guide them on, you know, if you to
Great, thank you. Antonia?
I don't have any questions. Happy holidays.
Elton?
Just a comment, because I haven't had the opportunity in a while to share a stage with you, Superintendent, in a while. But I say this a lot, but it can't be said enough. The leadership team in the district is full of energetic and compassionate people, all of you. And 295 has been through a lot. I can say we've been through a lot for 6 years. But most recently, you know, going through this possibility of sort of losing our identity or merging with another school, which very much is still, you know, a possibility in the future. But you and Nicole engaged us at the very beginning, many months, one could argue a year before you were required to. Both of your leadership has remained the same since you came in, which has been, you've been open and always honest with us. And as a result, no matter what happens in the community, you know, we've built stronger relationships because we have strong parent leadership, but also because we have such a great partnership with you. I'm sitting right next to a PTA member at PS10, and 295 and 10 have become closer as a result of this process as well. So it's just a great example. And I think 15 continues to be an example to the city of how that partnership between effective, compassionate leadership from the DOE, at least on the district level, and parent leadership can really build special communities, even under adverse circumstances. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you. It's been a good partnership.
Katina?
I have a question and, Elton, thank you. You always, I feel, lift people up in such a great way and I really appreciate that. I have a question for you, Superintendent. So this came up through one of the schools, and I realize it's something that I just don't understand very well. I'm hoping you can help me get a sense of how this works. So mandated funding for paraprofessionals. I understand that depending on when a student receives like an IEP that mandates paraprofessional support, depending on when that comes during the year, funding either comes from the district or the school is responsible for it for a certain amount of time?
So it depends on what the para is. There's different types of paras for different types of things. For example, toileting para, that's a separate funding source. When the student actually gets the para support. So does it come in when they're coming in kindergarten, or does this type of para needed as a result of a later time that was decided by the school? So that's dependent on that, and there are specifics for those. As it relates to budgeting. So there's a reconciliation process where schools will get funding for what they're expected to have in September. So let's say in June, they get their budget and it says, okay, we've looked at the records and it says these number of students have paras. So we're going to pay for X amount of paras and give you funding for the X amount of paras. But as any given time you receive that funding, between that time and September, things can change. Students transfer schools, they leave the system, they don't require the services anymore. There's so many variables that happen. So what happens is when they come back, all that has to get sorted, which is another reconciliation process that happens. In the interim, it's not that they don't get money to pay for the paras. The schools will get the funding if they're entitled to the funding to pay for the paras. In some cases, they haven't been getting the full funding for the whole year because they're still reconciling from one school to the other. Because if you take the para from example, one school, because that student's no longer there, it's still eventually that money has to get to the school that has the student now, right? And so there's a whole lot of cleaning up and processing, but we have made sure and committed that paras are being paid when they're entitled to the funding. Now, the other issue is how many paras are out there for the positions that are available. So that becomes the other issue. A student might be entitled to a para, but there may not be a para available. And so schools can hire substitute paras. That nomination has recently opened. As a matter of fact, today was the opportunity for school leaders to go into these fairs. They had one last week, they had one today. Several principals in my district went today to interview some substitute paras that they can now hire to bring on board for their schools to provide the services for their students. In some cases, they're putting in for requests for paras, but the paras are not showing up from the substantial. And so that becomes a delay in getting the child the service that they need in some cases. So that's the nuances with that. I can get you, if you want, more details about which paras are paid for by the school, which paras are not. What the DOE has done in recent years is given pretty much all the resources directly to the schools. I mean, when I was a principal, we only got 80% of our first student funding, which we lost 20% to other overhead costs and that the DOE used to support schools. Now they get 100% of their funding. So it's some cases, some of the things that we're seeing is that in some cases, a school might have the same number of staffing, but a lot less students. And they're keeping the same number of staffing, which takes away from the funding that they should be able to use for those other things. Because schools don't want to let some of the staffing go, which is understandable and reasonable, right? But those are some of the tough decisions that CEOs have to make when running organizations. And essentially principals are like CEOs when they're running and managing their budgets for their schools, and they have to make, in some cases, some tough decisions. And many of them have made the tough decisions when necessary. In some cases, it's not as easy because there are some nuances that go with that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Kwame? Any questions or comments?
Actually, did have a comment, but I didn't want to, for lack of a better way to phrase it, I didn't want to soup up the superintendent. I really love Mr. Holiday spirit, everybody's getting riled up, Thanksgiving is done, Happy New Year is coming. So I just wanted to cheer up or just give some cheer to the great things I feel and have experienced since being involved with District 15 since my son was in kindergarten in the ACES program, special ed. And I wanted to piggyback on this gentleman's statement in regards to, I forget your name,
Sheldon.
Pardon me, I rested like 2 hours. I've been up since yesterday.
I hear you.
But the family I get, and I have a 32-year-old dating my son. And he went to PS9. So the fact that I still get that sazon from District 15 from then now is amazing. I noticed, the people have changed since then. But getting acclimated with, superintendent and my CEC family, I'm a new person here. It's amazing because I see the tentativeness from the admin to the president, to everybody who's on the board, to our leader, the superintendent, and it's authentic. Like these people really care. And I see it expressed at my son's school at PS 15, all the way from the principal down to the paras, to the school safety agent. And I don't take it for granted because I've seen other districts, whether it was a function or PTA, I'm associated with other parents throughout New York City. So we're a gem, and I just want to keep the standard up here.
I'll do my best.
Thank you. A good job. We're doing it.
Thank you. Donalda, did you want to have any questions or comments virtually?
No, thank you.
I think that's everybody.
Yeah, that's everybody. Kwame, did you have any, repairs or SCA capital plan requests that you wanted to share? Any reports from school? Because we did that just before you came. I don't know if you wanted to give your school report.
Verbally?
Yeah. You don't have to, but.
I was able to visit, PS 32 with Principal Denise. And, looking at my notes, give me one moment. Basically, the auditorium needed repairs, and I took pictures as well, with my cell phone. The auditorium needed repairs with some ceilings in various sections of the auditorium. From the front to the back, the ceiling, had, issues with the debris falling. And that was the main thing, the auditorium.
Okay.
In regards to the other schools, I had help like this with, admin Shanice, and we emailed.
Oh, okay.
Various principals
And
in
you're waiting.
regards to what they needed, and I'm waiting for a response now.
Okay, very good. So all the council members had access to that, huh?
Yeah, just want to say something, I haven't visited some of the schools yet. I had to call the directors, usually call the directors, but they're very busy all the time, so. Now, if there is something, just call me, let me know I'm gonna be around. But, I'm gonna give a report next time.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
So I sent emails to all the principals in the district with a form that they can fill out. The form goes directly to a spreadsheet, and I've been checking that spreadsheet and adding things to our spreadsheet as they come in. So far, only 4 people, like 4 schools responded to that. We will send out another email to the principals to remind them, but yes, stay on top of your principal, obviously. And all of you council members, you have access to the spreadsheet. Kwame, you can input the information about PS 32 directly into the spreadsheet. I think I sent a link to it in the last week's email.
I received it.
Yeah, and next month, at our business meeting on January 7th, we will hold a vote on the top 5 SCA capital plan projects, because that is due on the 7th of January. Okay, all right, so let's move on to our Brooklyn North High School's report. We don't have Dr. Sheila Tomlin-Reed, we have Yuette, but Yuette is going to be presenting on the Zoom. So let's share. Do you have access to the PowerPoint?
Yes, Yuette, do you want to share your screen?
Whatever is easiest for you, Miss Shanice.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Okay, let me do that. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be short and sweet. I apologize for not being there in person, but the Brooklyn High School President's Council is actually holding a 101 training for all of the new Parent Association Executive Board members, and it is a historic event because it's the first time they've done it. So in order to support them, this magical way of being in 2 places at the same time. But I am delighted to be here with you all. There we go. So it is December. Proud to represent Brooklyn North High Schools, our 47 schools in 7 districts. 26,500 families, creeping back up to our goal of 27,000. Our attendance is at about 89%, chronic absenteeism at 26%, and working really hard to keep those numbers where they are. Very proud of our graduation rate, which will land us at 91% this year. The city has not released I don't think they've updated the graduation rate for 24 yet, but we are proud of our 91% across our district. When you have access to the deck, you can feel free to, this is a click and play kind of slide deck, lots of information about our amazing schools. Our mission and vision is pretty straightforward, aligned to New York City Public Schools. It's all about growing semi-adults. I have 2 sons that just graduated from college, and I think of our district mission as how they were prepared at the end of high school to take on career in college. How we do that, we have our goals that are aligned to our DCEP and the Chancellor's priorities around literacy and math, parent engagement, and student engagement as a way to combat chronic absenteeism. I won't read the slide to you. It's readily available. But this month, we wanted to focus on, see, this is the meeting that the Brooklyn High School President's Council is having right now. It's kind of amazing. We have 160 parents on a Zoom at 8 o'clock at night. So we have also posted on our website. So starting last year, we were challenged to hold special education open houses in each of our schools for our families of students with IEPs. And this year, the schools have again scheduled those meetings. So we've made that information publicly available for anyone who's interested. High school applications, the extended deadline was yesterday. So we as the receiving end of that are very excited to see what families have indicated interest in our schools. But just a big shout out to the Brooklyn High School President's Council. It's a small army of 3 women who are holding it down for all of the high schools in North and South Brooklyn. So this month we wanted, because it's December and the holidays, we really just wanted to highlight some amazing student empowerment work we're doing in the district. Right before Thanksgiving, the mayor announced the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and we charged each of our student councils in our 47 schools to engage in a project. And next Monday, Superintendent Ross will be meeting with all of the student council to celebrate the work that they've done and also to really launch what we're calling a leadership exchange for students across our 47 schools to work together. We're also really proud to have representatives on the Borough President's Youth Advisory Council that I don't know if Donovan Swanson's in the room, but he often pops up. But this is Donovan's pet project. And we are thrilled to have a few students on that council working directly with the Borough President for our borough. And then the hallmarks of Brooklyn North High Schools is my brother's keeper and my sister's keeper chapters. We have chapters in each of our schools. When you get this link, we just released a new video about our MBK work. We were one of the first districts to be a part of the federal movement, and we're really proud of the work that our scholars have done. And on the video is Jordan Pierre and Jedediah, some alumni of ours who have now graduated from college and are coming back as motivational speakers. MBK, so each year the kids come up with an acronym for what they want to focus on. So this year, MBK is focusing on Thrive, the idea of togetherness, leading to health and wellness, respect, inspiration, vision, and excellence. Throughout the year, the chapters will be meeting to share with each other what Thrive looks like in each school community. We just completed our first college tour with our MBK chapters, and the kids just launched a social media campaign to illustrate what Thrive means across our schools. Not to be outdone, MSK adopted the acronym of RISE, and pretty similar, the idea of resilience and inspiration, self-love, empowerment, and then as a school chapter engaging in activities throughout the year. And one of our favorite events is in June, we host a crowning ceremony where each chapter shares their projects and literally receive their flowers for the work that they have done all year. Our MSK chapter had their first meeting at Borough Hall. Really love having the Borough President as such a strong partner for our district. He deferred to his Deputy Borough President, Reverend Counsel, to launch MSK with our young ladies. I think she was as impressed with them as they were with her. And then just sharing some great things happening in your district. These are pages from a digest that our parent coordinators put together. So just to give you a glimpse, right? Because it's hard to be in all places at the same time, but each month the PCs really enjoy sharing with each other and with all of us what they're up to. So at Sunset Park, there is a winter clothing swap going on, along with some school trips that are getting the kids out of the city. And John Jay has a new PTA exec board that's working really hard to revive parent engagement events. At Cyber Art Studio Academy, that picture on the bottom, which I got to be a part of, the Principal Wap just held her Title I family meeting, and this is the PA exec board celebrating a very successful meeting. They've also been bringing their seniors together. This is a senior night where students and families are getting acclimated in what are the steps towards college, and then a holiday offering from Digital Tech. Their juniors are getting Adobe professional certification, and in order to take the exam, they had to create a digital campaign. So these are just some inspirational posters that the kids created. that we thought we would share with all of you in celebration of the holidays to come. One of the things we've been talking to our students a lot about is that the holidays and school vacations mean different things for different people. And we're challenging our students to pay attention, to try to listen closely for folks who are quiet, and to ask questions and not assume. And I thought these posters really, they made them for each other. Like it was for the certification exam, but the 11th graders really like poured their hearts into it because it was their way to put out some positive vibes into the universe. So I'm happy to share that with you. And then as always, we share our updated data. Most attendance really is the only thing that changes dramatically. We are thrilled that both CASA, that all of our schools are increasing in attendance, and we'll be paying attention to that as the year moves on. And as always, just different ways to stay in touch with us in social media, our website, and then also our district digest. That is all I have for you all tonight.
Thank you,
I'll stop sharing.
Yeah.
Public comment.
Any comments, questions from people here in person? No? Any questions or comments for people joining us remotely on Zoom? Anybody in the Mandarin line?
No questions or comments for the Mandarin line?
Anybody in the Bangla line?
No question in Bangla line.
Any questions or comments in the Spanish line?
No questions or comments.
Hey. So let's see, questions or comments, Leslie?
No.
Hans? No, other than thank you, Yuet, for everything as always. Antonia?
Yeah, no questions. Thank you, Yuet, and happy holidays. I hope you are able to take a much deserved break.
Elton?
Well, good tonight, thank you.
Katina?
No, just to say thank you and thanks for sharing those posters. Those were really, really sweet.
Yeah. Kwame?
No comments.
Okay. Donaldo?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Yuet.
Thank you.
Happy
And bring
holidays.
your greeting from the High School President's Council. They're waving to you from my other screen.
We're waving to them too.
Tell Tamara I said hi.
They're giving her a run for the money, Antonia. 160 PA exec board.
Wow.
Thank you, though. She loves working with all of you.
All right. Okay, so let's, we do have to, before we close out this calendar meeting, go to a general public comment again.
Okay. Any general public comments in person? Any general public comments for people on Zoom? Anybody on any of the interpretation lines?
No for the Mandarin line.
No question in Bangla line.
None on the Spanish line.
Great.
All right. I'm gonna call the calendar meeting to a close at 8:37 p.m. And I'm going to promptly call the business meeting to order at 8:37 p.m. Thank you. You're welcome to stay for our business meeting.
I know. I do. Thanks everyone for having me tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elton.
Right. So, We will quickly call the roll. Antonia Ferraro, yes, I'm present. Leslie King, present. Vanessa Gonzalez has an excused absence. Nancy Cruz. I don't know that I got,
She did.
She did.
I
Okay.
reached out to her and she.
Okay, all right. Katina Rogers.
Present.
Jonathan Davis.
Present.
Hans is present. Well, we don't have quorum, so I can't say, Donalda has an excused absence.
Thank you.
Yep. Nancy Randall has an excused absence, Stanley Vidal has an excused absence, and Councilmember Kwame Egerton.
Here.
Okay. That is not quorum, correct?
Nope, we're at 6.
Okay, all right. we have
How many we need for quorum?
7.
No quorum. Okay, so we cannot vote on our meeting minutes. However, Tina Rogers has been waiting patiently to give her treasurer's report and to talk about reimbursements a bit. So the floor is yours, Tina.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. This is all, I have to rely on Shanice for, everything still on the treasurer side of things. So thank you, Shanice, for all of your help. So for those of us who are here in the room, there is a copy of the treasurer's report in the folder. I'm gonna keep this, I think this is maybe the same way it was done last year. I'm gonna keep adding tabs along the bottom of this spreadsheet, so you can always go to the same link to access the month-by-month treasurer's report and see where things stand. So far, we've spent about $4,000 out of our total budget of $25,000. I mean, I don't have any concerns about our spending at this point. I think we're in fine shape with our budget. For members who need reimbursements. So you can get reimbursed for expenses that you incur related to your participation in these meetings. That includes things like childcare, transportation or parking on site, phone and internet service up to a certain monthly maximum, I think $75 per month. There are 2 forms that you need to fill out to receive these reimbursements. One is the member reimbursement request form. The other is the expense log. And for certain expenses, you don't need a receipt. Is that correct? For phone and internet, you don't need a receipt. For childcare as well? Yeah. You don't need a receipt. For other expenses, car fare, things like that, you do need to provide a receipt. And there needs to be documentation that you attended the meeting in the month that you are requesting reimbursement for. I think that it's helpful to split out the expenses 1 month at a time. Is that also correct? Yeah. So like, give me your expenses for the month of September, and separately give me your expenses for the month of October. Just fill out these forms for each month. That'll help with processing. Processing is a pain, and that is all on Shanice's plate. It takes some time, so we appreciate everybody's patience in getting these back to you. I would say I haven't gotten a ton of reimbursement requests from folks yet, so please send them my way. And I think it's okay for you to send them in electronically to me, right? Yeah. So send them to me by email. You don't need to wait for a meeting. If it occurs to you after you get home and you can pull everything together, just send it that way, and we'll try to process things as quickly as we can.
Can I ask one question related to that? I screwed up and sent them all as a bulk thing, so I need to redo it, but, so Shanice had told me I need to put the meeting that I attended, so if we had an excused absence for a month, but did other council related things over the course of the month, we cannot submit for that month, is that correct?
That's a great question.
You still can?
Yes.
Okay,
But it depends on what you're claiming for.
right.
So if
Like,
you.
like for internet and phone,
Exactly.
you can still claim if you miss,
Yeah.
if you have an
you're using
excused
that
absence
for your
for
meeting,
that.
so say if you're going to your liaison schools and you're using your
Right,
phone, your,
right.
whatever the case may be, yes, you can.
And you join the meeting remotely, even though you
Yeah.
couldn't, okay, okay.
Do you need to provide, does someone need to provide documentation?
So what I would say is on your monthly, there's an IPR report that the council is supposed to do.
Mhm.
Make sure that coincides with what, yes, with what you're claiming for.
Got it.
Yeah, we gotta get back on these IPRs.
Okay.
I did one. And and I shared it with everybody. Yeah.
So that would be your proof alongside if you go to like a school building, make sure you're signing in.
Right.
Okay. Am I forgetting
Thank
anything?
you.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody sort of got that, good?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So if you take the public transportation, get those little receipt things. I'm misplaced mine.
Mhm.
So can I just like say, for the month I use $6? I just go to the subway, $6 and then give you that receipt? Or does it have to be like dated?
Right.
The time I came?
Yeah, for a train fare, how specific does it need to be?
Yeah.
A lot of times you don't even get a receipt for that kind of thing if you're swiping at a
Yeah.
bus or something.
I've been using my personal, just
Yeah.
because I can't find the
Right.
CEC swiper.
I would have to check because you probably get a monthly, correct? Or,
I've been using my monthly.
yeah, so that's hard to calculate because you don't get a receipt for each.
Right.
I don't know, I would have to talk to the SGO regarding that one.
So should I just like go to the subway now and get a $6 metro? And take the receipt and then,
I don't want to give you an answer yet. Let me talk to the senior grant officer and then I can get back to you because I don't want you spending more money because if you're
Right.
already.
it's all good.
I mean, if he attended, if we had 2 meetings in the month and he attended both meetings, isn't he just entitled to the subway fare of getting back and forth to 2 meetings?
It seems
like,
super reasonable.
without even putting any receipt?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You don't know,
for-
right?
For transportation, they're a little, they ask for receipts more
Right,
than
Mm.
the rest of the reimbursements.
I mean, I get like an Uber or Lyft, but like if you're just taking the train,
For
like.
Uber and stuff like that, so say if you use your car, that goes by mileage.
Yeah.
You would have to like prove it with like a map and stuff like that. So they do get, there's a lot of nuances when it comes to like traveling, because for each thing it's different essentially. But I will check in and I will.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Good
So
question,
much
Paul,
cheaper.
maybe something. Good job. All right, I don't have anything else. We've reached the end. I don't think we have any.
Oh, because we can't approve the minutes. Yeah.
We can't approve the minutes. We don't have any new business. I would just say, please fill out the spreadsheet with all of your capital plan requests so that we're ready to go.
Can I say something
yeah.
about the SCA resolution, just since we
Yeah,
have a minute? So
please.
since we've been talking about construction stuff today, I think that we shared it with you at one point, but we have been working on a resolution regarding SCA accountability. It's been a bit on pause while we wait to have a meeting with the city council education chair,
Rita Joseph.
But we are planning to bring that forward at one of the January meetings. So I'll reshare that again with everybody so that if you have comments or feedback on it, we would welcome that. It's my first time, helping with one of these. So any feedback would be very welcome.
Great. Yeah, no, thank you so much for putting so much work into that resolution and I really look forward to putting it on the agenda, and reading it in front of, SCA. That's my plan, is to put it on the agenda when SCA comes. So
Sounds good.
that will be fun. Well, happy holidays, everybody. Thank you for coming. I hope you guys have a restful holiday plan for yourself. And, I will make a motion to adjourn at 8:48. Anybody want a second?
Second. Thank you, Antonia.
Happy holidays.
And your interpretation.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
To the surveillance.
Perfect, just to make all this.